over it. We'll talk after.
Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm back. Zack is back. We're ready for another fighter spotlight edition. Today we're welcoming one half of the Steelfist 185-pound amateur title fight on May 1st, and we have Rob Snow joining us today. What's up, Rob?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. I got to get this question out of the way. How many times a day do you hear the Game of Thrones reference with your name?
All the time. I'll tell you. Everywhere I go, new person, it's always a Game of Thrones joke.
Game of Thrones, something. They want you to walk out to the song.
Honest, all the time. Always.
That's hilarious. I've never watched Game of Thrones, so I don't know.
What?
That's the thing. I've never seen it.
Oh,
Not
you guys.
once.
Oh,
Me
you
neither.
guys. We got to start this podcast over. This is
You can start it over 100 times. Still doesn't change the fact that me and Rob haven't wasted our time watching Game of Thrones.
I've probably watched it 5 times. I've read the books twice. Like it's
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, nerd.
Hey, don't you judge me, Zack.
I'm not judging. It's just a fact.
How does my sound down here? I sound okay?
That's good. Yeah,
All
you
right,
sound
good.
great.
I'm in my mom's basement. You can see all the stuff in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So big fight coming up May 1st, Rob.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be my first title fight, obviously as an amateur. And, with COVID and everything, I haven't fought in about a year and a half. So it's a whole lot of experience happening in one night.
Yeah. What are your expectations going into the fight? How's your fight camp been?
Fight camp has gone really well. We started back in January with expectation to fight in March. But with how things went, I got pushed back to the May card, which is perfectly fine. I get it. So I've had a really nice, long, detail-oriented fight camp, which has kind of got me both physically and mentally ready.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you know about your opponent?
Surprisingly, not a whole lot. I know that, people could look up like names and try and go on like Tapology and stuff like that, just to be able to see like, oh, hey, what's his record like? How did he win? How did he lose? Things like that. I know I did see him in around January of 2020 when there was a Steelfist card that he fought on, and I just happened to be there. He's a big guy, right? He's around 6 foot, 6'2", but other than that, I don't really know a whole lot.
Yeah. You guys fought on the same card too.
Oh, did we?
You guys fought on he was the fight after your fight against Justin Villalpando.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, then I guess when you're in there and you're only focused on goal oriented,
Rob's just like, line them up and I'll knock them down, baby. Line them up.
Oh, wow.
So you fought a couple times in 2013, it looks like, and then why the long layoff for 6 years?
Well, I was active, in 2013, like, the Tapology record shows. But then I actually took one loss, and I hurt my elbow pretty severely. And so I was out with basically minimal use of my arm for about 2 months. And part of my physical therapy was working out, lifting weights in order to kind of develop that strength back to get back to fighting. And then I just started to really fall in love with weightlifting and, trying to look better, have that more of an aesthetic mindset compared to a performance mindset. And then from there, I kind of, sorry about that. I did a couple bodybuilding shows during that 6-year layoff. A couple of those, did a little bit of coaching and, had my fun time and, focusing on that area of exercise, and then decided to come back and try and fight for some fun.
That's Jason's world.
Definitely for sure. We definitely know all about Jason and his world of bodybuilding.
What's the transition been like going from bodybuilding to fighting? What's some of the differences that you've seen and some of the similarities that you've seen with the two? Obviously, you get punched in the face now, but bodybuilding you don't.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that I noticed that are similar, and there's a couple that are distinctly different.
Okay.
One of which that's similar is the dedication towards outside of training, in preparation, right? So when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to making sure that you are tracking your meals, you're tracking what time you're eating, when you're eating, what macro count is, what particular stage you are in fight camp,
Yeah.
which leads to your food, right? You know very well about this.
What's a macro?
Yeah.
What's a macro? No, but a 16-week out diet, right, for a bodybuilding show, for example, look a whole lot different than the 3 weeks out diet, right?
Yep.
And so that plays a really similar role when it comes to fighting. Obviously, I eat to perform. I don't eat to look an aesthetic way.
Yep.
Obviously, there's going to be different trial and errors when it comes to what foods work with my body at what levels, right? But the difference is mainly in the training outside of your traditional MMA training where it's boxing or Muay Thai or wrestling or jiu-jitsu. That's expected to be different, right?
Yeah.
Something that I do notice different is how I perform in the weight room. I know that coming into this fight camp, especially all last year when I was deployed, I was lifting like a bodybuilder. I was doing, all of my accessory movements in combination with my compound movements. I was working on more of an aesthetic look because I was deployed. I wasn't fighting. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
But now coming back in, I know I focus my weight training on more of a performance method in order to get me able to fight in a more effective manner.
All right. I like it. Do you do all your own nutrition and stuff?
I do. Yeah. I typically run my own diet just because, after 6 years or so, you kind of figure it out.
Zack, what's a macro? Hillary, Zach's gonna learn real quick because we're writing him a meal plan today. He's gonna follow it. Damn it!
Oh, wow.
Today.
Welcome.
Meal plan starts today for Zack.
Woo! That's one hell of a ride. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I'm assuming I'm really starting to see the differences in the training types because I've been doing this 8-week fight camp thing and a lot of differences in the training because I'm not used to training with that high of intensity. Usually it's heavyweight, how heavy, heavy weights, heavy bench, heavy squat, and now it's speed and agility and flexibility. And this has really opened my eyes to the recovery aspect because I don't know about you, but bodybuilding, like we're supposed to stretch, but we don't. Like,
we don't.
I ain't stretching. I want to feel that. I want to feel,
Honestly.
who wants to feel loose? We want to feel big, Yeah.
Yeah,
that's definitely a big difference.
You big old meatheads.
Hey, somebody's got to fill that role. I'm glad it's me.
Yeah. So what do you think so it says your first 2 fights were at 170 though, correct?
Yes.
So I'm assuming you're a lot bigger now because of your bodybuilding. You weren't always that big because you now going to 170, that ain't happening, dog.
No, I mean, last time, back in 2013, not last time, that I was fighting, I was basically fresh out of high school. I played a little bit of football in high school, but more of like I was left bench, really much of a second, third stringer. But I did a lot of wrestling in high school. That was kind of like my sport. That was what I put my attention to, which a byproduct of that is staying a little bit on the smaller side, staying a little bit on the leaner side, and then rolling into fighting. It was just, natural, easy.
Yeah.
I wrestled at 170 in high school and it kind of just carried over.
You were 170 in high school?
Yeah. I mean, I wrestled at 170 my senior year. Yeah.
Man, you're a big dude. I mean, I've seen you at the shows. I've been up close, but I was like 120 pounds in high school.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, I don't think I'm necessarily, too crazy big, but I definitely didn't enjoy cutting down to the 152 weight class.
Yeah.
That was really not my thing. But I mean, obviously here I am now cutting weight to make 185s and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, how's the weight cut going?
It's going really well. I actually came back from deployment last year in the end of October at like 230 pounds. And then I started dieting. I want to say I started dieting around January 18th or so, January 19th.
Yeah.
And I was 193 yesterday. So.
Oh, okay. So you're ready to roll then.
Yeah, I'm so close. A water cut is almost unnecessary at this point.
That's got to be
that's the way to go.
Yeah, that is the way to go. Yeah. Yes. I wish more fighters would kind of listen. Hopefully more fighters will listen to this and it's the camp shouldn't start at 8 weeks out. It needs to be starting.
Yeah. Just
start 52 weeks out.
3.5 months out. 3.5 months.
No. 52 weeks out, not 8 weeks out. Year long, man.
I think that's one of the biggest thing, especially transitioning from like a bodybuilding kind of lifestyle, right? I hate the term lifestyle. Everybody uses it. Oh, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I get it. But I think that making just small changes in your daily life, right, when it comes to eating and when it comes to exercise, sets up. You could have a 6 week and 8 week fight. I think that's completely possible. I mean, higher level guys do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think it's because during their off season, they're still on top of their stuff. They're not, drinking every night for 3 months and then they're like, oh, I'm going to fight now.
Yeah.
I think that's a big factor that, maybe especially the amateurs could probably focus on a little bit more in order to set themselves up for success for a healthy, important, well done fight camp.
I think you're starting to see, I think times are starting to shift a little bit. And Zach and I've talked about this on the podcast where you're starting to see more guys doing that now where they're taking it a little more serious. We got a couple local guys that are, we got a handful of local guys that they do this year round, man. They're eating to perform, like you said, and they're ready to roll. Gone are the days probably that you just jump in the cage. You're still going to have those guys, I think, but
of course
they're few and far between now.
They're getting fewer and fewer. So it's kind of ironic. I started training 4 years ago, pretty much this week. It's when I started doing MMA trairing. Rob, I don't know if you know, I was 270 pounds when I
have seen some of those pictures.
Yeah. So that's where it was. But a lot of those cards, the Steelfist cards I started going to, I've only missed like 2 Steelfist events in that last 4 years too. But the one thing that I've noticed is there's getting less and less more independent fighters too. And even at the amateur level, at the Steelfist, where Steelfist is predominantly amateurs, we're seeing a higher level product in the amateur stages. Even there's 0-0 debuters. On the last Steelfit card that I was on in last February before COVID, there was a bunch of 0-0 guys, and they performed and they looked really good.
Yeah,
we're getting further and further away from all. It's almost like amateurs have to be more like view it as like semi-pro, right? Because the guys that aren't taking it seriously, they kind of get smashed. There was a kid on the last Steelfist show, and he was all amped up and he was all good to go, and he fought a kid from Agema, and he kind of got walked through. And I was like, you have the heart, you have, like you want to fight and you're tough, but I'm like, dude, like you got to get in a gym, and then the other side of it too is the nutrition. You got to, you have to fuel your body the right way. Like this stuff that was going on 10, 15 years ago, like you said, drinking beers all the time, show up, take a fight. Like that just don't fly anymore.
I agree with you. I agree with you a lot. I have noticed that, like you mentioned before, that that these independent fighters, I think that's a really big thing, right?
Yeah.
Independent fighters, statistically speaking, not everybody, but most independent fighters aren't going to compare when it comes to, one, their fighting ability, but two, their environment.
Absolutely.
This fight. I think the coaching staff is huge. I think it's monumental when it comes to a successful camp. And same thing with the team. Something that I'm actually going to highlight right now is the fact that I've been training at Team Link for 2 years, approximately 2 years, right? And although that sometimes, obviously, like every gym, there's people that come, people that go throughout time for, whatever the reason may be. But especially for the bulk of this fight camp alone, I've had a very solid, strong, dedicated team around me that's made that not only I'm being held to my own self-accountability, but also to theirs as well. And I think that's it's not replaceable. You can't outwork that by yourself. You can't independently get ready for that.
Yeah.
100%. And I tell the independent guys, you train in a reputable gym. I train at a reputable gym. All these guys that train at reputable gyms, as we're coming up through the amateur ranks, our coaches are looking for us to fight, good fights, like tough fights. Like nothing's an easy fight and nothing's a guaranteed win in there. But like, if you're going to give me a guy from like another reputable gym or an independent guy, like my coach is going to tell me to fight the independent guy every time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a different, level of playing field. I know that is, is part of the way that fighting is, right? A way to maybe warm up or kind of balance yourself, especially for those that, basically everybody that was affected by COVID and whether or not they'd be able to fight and the amount of time they took off. Like I said earlier, I was a year and a half off. There are guys who would maybe utilize that opportunity to fight maybe a lesser record or maybe a lesser, a member who's not associated with a particular reputable gym.
Yeah.
And I just think at that point, it's if that guy's willing to fight and the contracts are signed, the contract's signed. What are you really going to do other than show up and
Yep.
get it?
Yeah, it's a times are definitely changing. Do you follow the bodybuilding world still?
I do.
So you're even seeing that in bodybuilding now too, where when I first started competing 8-9 years ago, 12-week prep was fine. You could get on stage and be good. Now, if you're trying to go pro, it's a year-long thing. You better act like a pro year-long. If you like, I went and watched the Wasatch Warrior this last weekend, and these guys are just insane as amateurs. It's like, what the hell are they feeding these guys, man?
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's super important is the word professional, right?
Yeah.
Just like we all have jobs, right? We all show up every day. We do our job. Maybe some days are worse than others. Some days are better than others. But as a professional, like I believe everybody should be holding themselves to. You have to do it day in, day out. Obviously you're not going to be perfect. There's good days, bad days. But, if you treat yourself like a professional and you treat whatever you're doing like it's your profession, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, man. In all aspects of life, really. I mean, you could put that with everything: your work, your personal life, your relationship. Like,
absolutely, could not agree more.
So, we wouldn't have this podcast if we didn't ask. But how do you see this fight ending?
Yeah. So, not to sound arrogant or cocky, because
you can go right ahead.
Say whatever you want, man.
No, I'm confident. Like I've said before, I've had a really long fight camp with a really great team and an even better coaching staff. Not only has it set me up mentally, but also physically. And I feel like that combination has gotten me ready to be able to perform at an all-time best, but definitely come out with the win at the end. That's for sure.
Nice.
I know that obviously each fighter has their own game plan when coming into things. And obviously for some fighters, it's super hush-hush, and some fighters, it's out in the open. This is what I'm going to do. But I'm very, very confident in one, my ability, but two, my trust in my coaches and my corners who are going to be right there with me.
So if I heard you right, you're going to knock him out in the first round, right?
There it
is. Headline: Rob Snow wins title, first round knockout.
Jason's like the Ariel Hawani. He's just constantly stirring the pot.
So funny. Stirring the pot.
That's why we have the podcast. We gotta,
That's right. I hear you.
Hype up ticket sales. Just get it going.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely going to be a good time. I don't, like I said, I don't really know much about the guy. I don't know how he trains, and to be quite honest, I don't even know where he trains.
He's actually the head coach at Factum MMA now.
Okay, there we go. I don't really know what Factum MMA is known for. But whatever it is, I know that I've taken, since I've had such a long fight camp, individual increments throughout the fight camp to focus on, I guess, all disciplines of MMA. So I feel like I'm going to come in prepared. I feel like I'm ready wherever the fight goes.
I like it. I like it. I've watched him, and yeah, we've never mind. We don't need to get into mine and Graham's stuff. But
so, Rob, before we let you get out of here, man, do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I do. Just basically, I want to give a shout out to my team. Like it was stated before, I train at Team Link. It's a great gym, great people, great coaches, and they're great when it comes to not just being great fighters, but great as people. I can bring my kid there and I know she's safe and she's around good people. I can bring my family there and I know that it's a welcoming environment, and I really appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to Knuckle Dusters. And Eric,
they're all right.
Yeah, there he is.
I love those guys.
Eric Iman's been a huge role when it comes to my fight camp, and they're doing a lot for me throughout this fight camp in order for me to come in ready, and ready to go to war. And then other than that, I just want to give a shout out to, like I said, my team, my family, everybody out there who's been very encouraging, everybody that's bought a ticket, everybody that's asked for, what the live stream was, everybody that's been a supporter has made this fight camp and made reaching up to this point and will continue on doable.
I like it, man.
Roger that. Shout out to Knuckle Dusters, man.
Hey,
yeah, we like Eric and Sam.
Great line of apparel. They got some pretty sweet apparel stuff too.
Yeah, they're coming out with new stuff all the time. It's a good set.
Love it. Love it. All right, brother. Well, we'll let you get out of here. Appreciate you coming on and joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the cage next weekend to throw down.
That's right.
Are we going to hear it? And new.
Oh,
love it. Right on, brother. We'll let you get out of here. Thanks again, man.
All right, guys. Thanks, guys.